Anyway, good evening. Good evening. I just wanted to again touch base. We spoke quite a bit about a new technology with a patent pending out there at the moment, and that is called the Aquatherm Disruptor.
Yeah.
We have over the years, anything we looked at getting developed, we always went to Denmark.
Oh, it's up, put someone's go.
Well, it's some of the best technologies regarding, harvesting of seafood and so on and so forth. Some of the best in the world actually comes from Denmark. Great, great skills from the people that's been involved in those industries.
Yeah.
And of course, I have lots of friendships again, with people that I've worked with several years now. With the Aquatherm Disruptor, of course, is something very different. I started looking at a way that we could actually push large volumes of water to the surface of the ocean, do it in a way that's not going to affect in any negative way to our marine ecosystem. So we started looking initially at how could we pump water from a couple of 100 meters under the surface to the surface of the ocean. And the more we looked at it, is realized over the years we could never get pumps big enough, and we'd have to have a lot of pumps to make a difference. We can get large volumes of water. If you go 200 meters under the ocean surface, the temperature of the ocean there is about 4 degrees Celsius. And if you're looking at surface temperature, say in front of the likes of a hurricane that's barreling across the ocean, it's starting to intensify. And of course, it's putting that energy from warm surface temperature, humidity, and ocean temperature. So what we came up with eventually is, and a lot of R&D and headaches go with that, was this Aquatherm Disruptor. We can actually push now, we believe, up to 1 million tons of water per minute.
Yeah.
There to the surface, cool down the surface temperature in front of these storms, take the energy away from them. So when you have a category, say 3, 4, or 5 hurricane, by reducing the energy to that, we can actually push it down. We also believe that we can actually alter the course of these storms by hitting something is heading due west, and we hit the southwestern corner of that, we can actually deflect these storms and push it away from the land. We're super excited about it because the multiple other usages for it. If you look up in the Arctic Circle, as the ice caps, as it melts, the upper water column, of course, the pH is changing inside the ocean. And with that, of course, is compressing the Gulf Stream, and it's creating multiple other problems with that. The same with the Aquatherm, where we can actually push up the water and again get the right mix back into that upper water column. We do think over the next 20 years, this will create tens of thousands of jobs. It is no doubt about it. It's will bring in a lot of revenue. And at the same time, it's what's really important, there is the environmental impact we'll actually have with that. By pushing nutrients to the surface, these nutrients themselves, will actually help plankton numbers go back to where they need to be, to increase that. And of course, that puts lots of food for down the entire marine ecosystem. Again, make it a lot stronger. Denmark, again, is the place we're looking to actually do some work in the flume tanks later this year or the start of next year. We're hoping to be up and running for that. And after that, we are looking at putting the production of that actually somewhere on the west coast of Germany, or Denmark, sorry, west coast of Denmark. Again, and the reason for it, I think, without a doubt, Denmark is the place we need to get it done because of the skills of the people actually inside in that sector.
But I think that this is the approach that's oftentimes lacking from environmentalists, and especially do-gooders on the left. That is that they think that the solution to our environmental problems, climate-related problems, is just to set back the clock. Just to say, okay, if we live like in the Stone Age, everything will be fine. But the solution in all of humankind have always been innovation when you're faced with problems. And that is why far fewer people die from climate-related death today than probably at any time. It's just right. Because we have been able to mitigate storms, to hinder floods, to control our environment a lot better. So instead of believing that you can take back the clock, then believe that progress can solve some of the situation. I always think about this. I think it's a funny story that the British Parliament in the late 1800s, they put out a report on how would they solve the problem of horse maneuver in London, because they could see the rapid expanding, and they had a very, very stringent government report put out by the British Parliament saying that, oh, we can see if we write forward the numbers of today, you would have feet of horse manure in all London streets. And then suddenly there was the invention of a car, and this was a non-problem. But this is oftentimes the mindset of decision makers, decision takers around the world. They think about today's technology and tomorrow's challenges. And if you do that, you will not be able to innovate in the way that you have known in history. And if you just see what happened in your lifetime, in my lifetime, we know that the human capacity for innovation is incredible. And instead of hindering this innovation to solve the real problems out there on environment, on climate, instead of saying, no, we should just consume less, we should just have no growth in our economy, we should actually try to have the market work with us to solve these problems instead of believing we can return back time.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you actually said there. And, looking at, I think at times we put too much emphasis on, carbon emissions, right? We start speaking about, CO2 levels and so on and so forth. And we don't look at innovation regarding what can make a massive change, right? And, if you look at, as we see our marine ecosystem being affected, especially with likes of plankton numbers, bioplankton and so on and so forth, we need to be able to turn that around. And of course, this is a great way to do it. At the same time, that we can look at the problems of these powerful storms and the damage they're actually doing, save lives, recover our marine ecosystem, and at the same time, make a few dollars doing it.
But this has huge potential. If we just look at the devastation that hurricanes are doing in a place like the US, a highly developed country like the US, for a fraction of the cost of just one hurricane, if we could make this into just large storms or into weather that can be absorbed a lot better in these communities, of course, the potential will be significant. And then we're not talking about the poorer regions in the Caribbean, where these storms are much more devastating because of loss of life, when it comes to destruction of property that's not ready to handle the same ways as developed area like the US. So for sure, this would be a solution when it's applicable. That would be a very cost-efficient way. I would say if I was a big American insurance company, I would much rather spend the dimes and the dollars doing this instead of building houses, roads and parks and whatever gets destroyed in the path of the hurricane.
Yeah, for sure. Exciting times ahead for Ocean Integrity, and again, we're definitely extremely proud of what we've built over the years. But definitely, this is, we believe, a game changer. And of course, one thing that I always try to think, I come from the private sector, and trying to think about coming up with a real solution. But what does that mean for the global economy? How can we create jobs? How can we do this in a way to do as little damage as possible, or try and have a negative impact on the marine ecosystem? But again, it's about one thing: jobs, and more jobs. That is the only way forward.
It is innovation, creativity, job making, growth. That is what have made it. Basically, it's crazy. Today a poor person in Europe live better than a king in the Middle Ages, and that is of course due to human innovation and the focus growth.
Yeah, that's for sure. But anyway, thank you very much. Thank you. Wonderful speaking to you.